So the whole booking of the flight situation that inevitably got Lil Durk arrested through the criminal complaint filing looks bad. His lawyer, Drew Finland's explanation as to why he booked those flights were that that's how he always books his flights. And the multiple bookings is him trying to get better seats, right? Academics asked if he had other business arrangements out there in Dubai and if that's why he was going out there at the time, where Drew Finland said no, he didn't have any other business arrangements. It was just a regular thing for him to fly to Dubai because he loves going to Dubai all the time. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but the timing of it looks bad. Sure, he loves flying to Dubai all the time, but the timing just looks bad. Now, the feds could counter that and say, well, why book the flights around that time? Like, that was around the time that they had took Lil Durk's phone. They had seized his phone days before that. And it was also around the time that the OTF members had already gotten arrested. The timing of it all just looks bad. That's probably how they were able to accuse him of being a flight risk. And that's also why it looked like he was trying to flee the country. Like, it didn't matter if he had booked it the day they seized his phone, the day OTF got arrested. It didn't matter. The timing of those bookings just looks bad. But Durk's lawyer could argue and play the whole innocent route that and say, well, he just wanted to see if maybe he also had warrants once he was informed that the other OTF members had gotten arrested. Now, it's unclear if Durk even knew about the arrests beforehand, but that can go either way. If he did know that they had gotten arrested, then yes, he may have wanted to see if he had other warrants, because apparently if you have a warrant by the feds, they're not going to just come out and tell you. Like, your lawyer can't just go ask, well, does my client have a warrant? They're not going to say anything. So allegedly, the trick to find out if you do have a warrant is to try to book numerous flights, because apparently it would trigger something in the Fed's database that would alert them that you may be boarding a flight. And that's how they would inevitably catch you. See, that's how they ended up getting Diddy. The feds were watching Diddy for a while, and it wasn't until he had booked several flights going to several different islands or countries or whatever is how they ended up picking him up at the Miami airport. With Lil Durk, it's kind of the same scenario where several flights were booked around the same time. The only difference was that Lil Durk's flights were all going to the same place, which was Dubai. The other separate locations apparently were layover flights, right? So that could be an argument. Maybe he wanted to see if he had warrants because he had found out OTF members had been arrested. Or let's say the innocent route, he didn't even know that they were arrested just yet. And he was just doing his normal routine of booking a flight to go to Dubai like he always does, according to his lawyer, Drew Finland. We'll see. Then on the flip side, what's the argument about all of them flying to LA that day? Like, did they have any business engagements out in LA as a reason for them to fly to LA? Because if it comes out that their sole purpose to fly to LA was to target Quando Rondo, then yeah, they're all screwed. Even Lil Durk. Okay, if that was the only reason why they were flying to LA that day, yeah, they're screwed. Now, if Durk is adamant that he had nothing to do with this and he had no clue that they were even planning to do this, and he was legitimately going out there for business purposes only, then what business purposes would that be? Was he going out there to do some interviews? Was he going to be on someone's podcast that day, that week, or whatever? Did he have shows booked that week? Was he going out there to work on some music with some new producers? Or did he have shows booked? Maybe he was going out there to look at storefronts, whatever. Because then, if that's the case, then those people that he were going out there to meet up with would have to come into play, and they would have to corroborate his story. So the whole flight to LA situation, again, can go both ways. Either they were just going out there for business. Let's say the other members decide to make a pit stop because they knew Quando Rondo was also out there and did what they did. Then yeah, you're screwed. Now, if they were going out there for business and Durk had no clue about it, then they would have to get other people to corroborate his story. And of course, the unfortunate circumstance that they were solely going out there just to target Quando Rondo, then it's a wrap. It don't matter which way you want to flip that. It ain't no flipping that. That's it. Murder for hire, right? Now, the other very important key element of the whole conspiracy to commit murder for hire, or however they are labeling it, is that they have to have proof of monetary exchange, aka the payment. Now, as of right now, there hasn't been any explanation or details of how much money was being offered or if anyone even got paid. The feds may have a hard time proving this unless someone just comes straight out and says, yes, Durk paid them such and such amount of money to do this. But, allegedly there is an informant, so who knows what this so-called informant has been telling them. But yeah, they would have to prove that there was some exchange of money involved. Now, because allegedly after the shooting, the men linked up at some restaurant to discuss how much do you think Durk is going to pay us, allegedly, that just sounds to me that they were not sure of how much, like there was no definitive agreement that they were going to get paid at all. So the question is, well, did they get paid at all? If anything, how much did they get paid? Did Lil Durk promise to pay them if they did do that? You know what I'm saying? Or did they just assume that based on the circumstances that he was gonna pay them? Well, so many other people wanted revenge for King Von, right? Mind you, 2 of the shooters in the Quando Rondo shooting were also posted up in a video with King Von several years ago at Icebox when they were all getting O-Block chains. It's like, maybe they were seeking their own revenge too and took it upon themselves to get their own revenge because Lil Durk might have been taking too long. It was 2 years since the killing of King Von, and they like, you know what, we gonna take it in our own hands and do our thing and assume that maybe Lil Durk was gonna pay them because he also wanted revenge. Who knows? Allegedly. Now, this is all just allegedly, and this is all just my opinion. Like I said, only they can confirm what really transpired. As far as the whole monetary thing is like, did they get paid? How much did they get paid? Like, did Lil Durk promise to pay them if they did this? Or did they just assume that Lil Durk was going to pay them, as this is a way of showing their loyalty to whatever, King Von or Lil Durk, let's say, allegedly. They got revenge for him, let's say. But again, like I said, so many other people wanted revenge for King Von, including the actual shooters in this case. And it's like, yeah, maybe they was like, okay, y'all, he taking too long. We gonna do this our damn selves. Who knows? So it can go either way. Maybe Durk had no clue they were going to do that, right? So that's the argument. The feds would now have to prove that there was some form of monetary exchange or payment in this case. And then finally, the whole lyrics fiasco. Like, I'm so tired of people saying, oh, it's more than the lyrics. The feds didn't pick up Durk because of some lyrics. That's fine. Sure, they might have way more incriminating evidence, but y'all gotta remember, the lyrics is what they presented as their proof that Lil Durk was involved in this case. was the lyrics. So that's why Lil Durk's lawyer was going so hard to defend these lyrics. This is what they were presented with. Sure, the feds may have way more incriminating evidence, but those lyrics were what they presented to the grand jury as their defense as to why he shouldn't be let out of jail. The whole booking of the flights were presented as him being a flight risk, which got him arrested before he could get on those flights. And the lyrics were included in the second filing to get him indicted as a danger to society. And it was also the Fed's way of proving that he had something to do with the homicide of Lil Pub, and that this is how he was mocking the situation through this song. So yeah, that's why Durk's lawyer is defending those lyrics, because that's what was presented. Now, the lyrics in question, to me, if you broke it down, it sounds like he was referring to someone's mom, or let's say dad, seeing their son on the news and them screaming no. It says, see your son on the news, you screaming no. Who would have thought that Quando would have been the one screaming no? How could he have predicted that Quando would be screaming no? The whole getting someone's locations, that's with any hitman, okay? You get a location for your target and you move. That could have been in reference to any homicide. Remember when KI dropped her location on Twitter? And look what happened, right? Someone rolled up on her and her friends, and I think also her brother, and gunned her down on those steps. And then shortly after that, KI's mom was on the news doing an interview. And then even the other high-profile shooting of FBG Duck, the shooters got his location. Like, they have surveillance from the highway, the neighborhood, even the projects they were in, up until the point that they ran up on him in front of that store and gunned him down in broad daylight. Now, come to find out, his mom actually admitted that she found out about his death on the news. You see what I'm saying? Even though Durk had nothing to do with that incident, like the gang members responsible for Duck's death, they're currently waiting to be sentenced later this year. So we can exclude Durk from that whole FBG Duck situation. So as far as those lyrics are concerned, they could have been in reference to any situation where a hit on someone plays out that way. It even happens in the movies. Come on. As far as the screams, again, it says, see your son on the news, you screaming no. Does Quando have a son? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be argued so many ways. Then feds could probably try to flip it and say, well, maybe it was premeditated. Maybe they wrote those lyrics, planned it out, and put their plans in motion. But it didn't go as planned, did it? Instead of someone's mom, or for the sake of argument, someone's dad, seeing their son on the news screaming no, the target ended up being the one screaming no. So it's like the lyrics matches up, but not exactly. Now, let's say Quando Rondo didn't scream in that news footage, and instead he just stood there in disbelief, explaining to police what happened. Would those lyrics still make sense? Because according to both of Durk's producers that worked on the song, he never changed the lyrics. Like, the lyrics are as is. So the no's are still in the song. But if Quando Rondo didn't scream in that media footage, just stood there in disbelief, let's say, would these lyrics still play a part in Durk's indictment? If not, let's say the lyrics, they couldn't use the lyrics and they had something else more concrete. Well, why didn't they use that evidence instead of these lyrics? Like, this whole case just looks bad on Durk's end. The timing of him booking those flights to Dubai looks bad. Like, what was your sole purpose of flying to LA that day? Was it for other business arrangements, or was this hit the main purpose to fly to LA that day? Did they get paid or even compensated, let's say, with something else other than money? You know, how much or what else were they compensated with instead? And then on the Fed side, it just kind of looks sloppy from the Fed side, how they presented the lyrics without doing a thorough research to see that the lyrics were old. It could have been in a reference to any hit style murder that we see in the movies. Half the time, some of these artists' lyrics just be that, just lyrics. And the fact that they didn't have it like a professional producer come in and like actually analyze the song, or he even have someone come in to even explain to them what a fan edited video was before they went ahead and presented this to the grand jury is beyond me. This case, it just sounds sloppy, it's messy all around, but we'll just have to see how it goes. You know, Durk does have a second bond hearing coming up in May. And according to his lawyer, Drew Finland, he also has a dismissal hearing coming up on June 2nd to try to get the case dismissed, I guess, against Durk at this point, because, you know, that's a big axe. It's an axe by a long shot. But, you know, they're still going to go through with it anyways. The other OTF members were basically caught red-handed due to the video surveillance, you know, the name that they put when they booked the flight and yada, yada, yada. And allegedly, the feds have an informant on their side, or, you know, a snitch or whatever you want to call it. So that trial is moving forward no matter what. It's either Durk gets out on bond until trial, maybe beat the trial and gets out of jail for good. Let's say he does get a bond, goes to trial and not beat the case, then he's going right back to jail for life. Or he doesn't get the bond, goes to trial, beats the case, gets out of jail, or he doesn't get the bond, doesn't beat the trial, and stays in jail for life. So we'll see how this goes. They're now looking at a court date sometime in October. So we'll see how that goes as more details are rolling out and more evidence are given. Right? Right. Well, that's it for now. I'm Annie, and it was nice talking to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.